So here we are, Cowboys versus Raiders, Week 11, Monday Night Football. Another primetime game, another chance for Dallas to either prove something or completely fall apart. Right now, the Cowboys are sitting at 3-5-1, and honestly, if they want any shot at the playoffs, this might be the game they absolutely have to win. I'm not even exaggerating here. What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are actually favored in this one, which is kind of wild when you think about it. We're talking about a team that's lost a couple in a row, struggling to find any consistency, and yet they're 3.5-point favorites on the road. The line's been bouncing around a bit, somewhere between 4.5 points, with the over-under at 50.5, but it's pretty consistent. Dallas is supposed to win this game. The question is, can they actually do it? Here's the thing that stands out to me. The Cowboys still have the number 4 scoring offense in football. That's actually impressive considering how rough things have looked lately. The Raiders, on the other hand, have a bottom 2 scoring offense. So on paper, this should be a game where the Cowboys' defense can finally get things going. But that's what worries me. If the defense can't show up against one of the worst offenses in the league, then when are they ever going to get right? This feels like one of those games where either they figure it out, or we're just accepting that this defense is broken for the rest of the season. Let me run through some of the injury stuff quickly because it matters. DeMarvion Overshown and Siobhan Revel are back on the active roster, which is good news. Still waiting on Perry and Winfrey, probably another week away. Logan Wilson just got traded from the Bengals, and he had a calf injury before that, so I'm curious to see if the extra time off helped him recover. Solomon Thomas left the Cardinals game with a calf injury. Haven't heard much about that yet. Elijah Clark is dealing with a rib injury, so we'll see if he can go. The team's been saying Donovan Wilson should be back, which would be huge for the secondary. And Johnny Cornelius is probably going to be on the injury report indefinitely with his knee issues. Just something we have to live with at this point. On the Raiders side, Geno Smith had a quad injury against the Broncos last Thursday night. He was clearly hurting, limping around a lot, so we need to see if he's a full go. Aiden O'Connell's been on the IR return list with a wrist injury and could be back this week. Wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders actually put him in at some point. Dylan Parham is likely out with an ankle injury, and Tristan McCollum, one of their backup safeties, is in concussion protocol. Now, about this must-win situation. I didn't call the Cardinals game a must-win because here's how I think about it. You get one must-win card per year. If you use it and they win, great, you get it back and can use it again. Kind of like how the playoffs work. But if you use it and they lose, that's it. The card loses all its meaning. You can't just keep calling every game a must-win and expect it to matter. But looking at where the Cowboys are right now, at 3-5-1, with a tough schedule ahead, I think this is legitimately a must-win game. Going to 3-6-1 would be almost impossible to recover from. Even if they won out from there, they're not guaranteed a playoff spot. So yeah, this is the game. They need to start a run right now.
The first thing that has to happen is that the offense needs to show back up. It's been rough the last 2 games, really rough. And I know it's not fair to put all this pressure on the offense, but that's just the reality with this team. They don't have the luxury of scoring 10 points and winning against anybody, let alone a playoff team like the Packers. That's not how things work in Dallas right now. The good news is the offense is still top 10 in most categories. They're top 5 in points per game, 3rd in passing yards per game, 13th in rushing yards per game. They're 7th in EPA per play, which measures efficiency. Their success rate is around 10th, so they're not always consistent down to down, but overall, this is still a dangerous offense when it's clicking. The Raiders' defense hasn't been great. They're the middle of the pack in most areas, 15th in yards per game allowed. Their EPA per play is literally 0.0, which is the first time I've ever seen that. Their success rate is around the league average, but here's something interesting. When you see a big gap between success rate and yards allowed, sometimes it means the offense is so bad that it's actually hurting the defense by not giving them any rest. That's exactly what's happening in Las Vegas right now. The second key is simple but critical. Do not let Geno Smith have his best game of the season. This seems to happen every time a quarterback faces Dallas. Last year, I thought Geno's interception problems weren't really his fault, more about drops and bad routes from his receivers, but this year it's definitely on him. He's thrown 12 interceptions against only 11 touchdowns. His QBR is down to 34.5, which is pretty terrible. The Cowboys' pass defense has been bad for about a year and a half now, maybe closer to 2 calendar years when you really think about it. Half of this season, all of last year, half of the season before that, they're bad in almost every metric. Their pressure rate is actually decent at 10th in the league, but they're 19th in time to pressure and 22nd in sack rate. So they're getting pressure, but they're not finishing. They're not getting the quarterback on the ground, and that's a problem. Which brings me to the third key. You absolutely have to generate pressure in this game. And honestly, that's true for pretty much every NFL team. When quarterbacks get pressured, they're just not as good. The Raiders have serious issues on their offensive line. Dylan Parham probably won't play, and they already put Jackson Powers-Johnson on IR. So it could be a completely new side of the line. Stone Forsythe has been a journeyman and hasn't been very good. There aren't many quality offensive linemen on this roster at all. The Cowboys front, and I'm betting we'll see a lot of five-man fronts again, has to get going. This should be a big game for Quentin Williams. Osa Odighizuwa should have success with those five-man fronts like we've talked about before. Donovan Ezeraku and Jadeveon Clowney are going to get plenty of snaps at edge rusher. This is a week where they need not just pressures, but actual sacks. And here's why that matters so much. Geno Smith has been one of the absolute worst quarterbacks in the NFL under pressure this year. He's 41 of 76 when pressured. He's been sacked 27 times. His EPA per play under pressure is minus .69, which is disastrous. When you pressure Geno, it becomes a complete disaster for the Raiders offense. He's got 5 interceptions under pressure, and his EPA per play is bottom 2 in the entire league. So the formula is simple. Get pressure, get sacks, and the Raiders offense falls apart.
The fourth thing Dallas needs to do is bottle up Ashton Jeanty. The Raiders have been trying to run the football, and they spent a first-round pick on this running back. But mostly because of offensive line issues, they haven't been able to do much with it. Jeanty gets contacted way too often behind the line of scrimmage. His success rate is 37.8%, which ranks 37th out of 47 qualifiers. That includes quarterbacks, so that's really bad. The Cowboys' run defense was actually much better against Arizona. The Cardinals used a lot of heavy personnel, and Dallas countered with multiple defensive linemen, and it worked. Their numbers all improved compared to earlier in the season, but they're still bottom 10 in basically everything. They're allowing too many yards per game, too many yards per carry, too many touchdowns, way too many explosive runs of 10-plus yards. Their stuff rate, which is tackling guys for no gain or loss, is bottom 10. Their EPA per carry allowed is positive, which means running against them is efficient. Their success rate allowed is way too high. They've been better after contact than before contact, but they're still struggling overall. The fifth key is finishing drives. The Cowboys' red zone offense is 13th in the league this year, converting just under 62% of the time. The Raiders are slightly worse on defense, allowing 58.8%. But when you look at it game by game, some trends show up. Dallas struggled against Arizona, Denver, Carolina, and they were horrible against the Bears. They were good against Washington, Green Bay, the Giants, and the Jets. Obviously, scoring more points leads to more wins, but here's the real stat that matters. In wins, the Cowboys are 9 for 11 in the red zone, converting at 82%, which is excellent. In losses, they're 8 of 18, under 45%. They even had a tie where they went 4 for 5. You just can't afford to waste red zone trips when your defense doesn't have much margin for error. You have to punch it in and get touchdowns. So here's my prediction for this game. I've got the Cowboys winning and covering 30-17. I specifically chose 17 because my bold take is that the Cowboys defense will allow their fewest points of the season. Right now, that's 21, which is insane to think about, but I believe 17 is doable against this Raiders offense. If Dallas can hold them to 17 and the offense can get to 30, that should be more than enough to beat a struggling Raiders team. We'll see how they come out, but I genuinely expect the Cowboys to win this game. If they don't, well, it's going to be a long rest of the season.